Hey guys, welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks alongside James. My name is Ryan. I am extremely late. I apologize, but it's been a day, guys. It's been a day. But this is definitely a good way to end said day. The Dallas Stars completely dismantle the Nashville Predators 5-1. Thank you, Dallas Stars. They return to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the fourth time in 5 years. And James, I could not be more excited about where this team is at right now. And yes, I know it's Nashville. And yes, I know everything is we're playing teams that we should beat, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Juuse
I can't
Saros
not be
couldn't save this
excited.
one for them. He couldn't save it for him this time.
Well,
he's been like the only reason why they're even still in the playoff race right now, and they really aren't anymore with tonight's loss. But he's the sole reason that team is any good at all.
It's absolutely incredible to look at the roster of this team compared to, you know, the team that we saw even just a couple months ago, maybe, or whenever the last time we saw them, and the fact that it is completely different. I mean, Nito Niederreiter is not there right now. Matt Duchene is hurt. Philip Forsberg is hurt. Roman Josi is hurt. I mean, Matthias Ekholm is now an Edmonton Oiler. I mean, it's just completely different.
I think the stat was they had 8 skaters from opening night still on the roster right now. 8?
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
And it kind of goes to show you what the Nashville Predators have kind of gone through this season. And I do feel bad for them, but at the same time, they're the P-Cats.
No, I don't.
So screw them. Screw the P-Cats. Okay. Anyways, James, what's your initial thoughts coming out of this game? Because, again, it's just like the game against the Arizona Coyotes. There are so many things to talk about with this game.
I mean, and the one thing that the biggest difference between the Coyotes game and this game is that we're playing a more desperate hockey team in this one. I mean, Nashville, they weren't going away like the whole time. They were trying for most of the game, I'd say, till it went down like 4-0. They were fighting for every inch of ice.
I think that you got to take the biggest storyline out of this game being how incredible Jason Robertson is.
Yeah.
I mean,
he scores 4 points again tonight, and he makes it 10 points in 4 nights in 3 games.
That's stupid.
To hit 100 points.
That is absolutely stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I did not expect for him to get to 100 points tonight. I expected him to get it done by the end of the season, but not in the next freaking game. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
He scored that last goal. I was like, oh, he hit 99. And then it's like, oh, wait. That was the 4th point of the game. That's 100.
We've seen a lot of good players come through this town. A lot of good players. But I would argue that we have not seen a player like this since Mike Modano. And when you mention yourself in the same name as Mike Modano, that in and of itself is a compliment. And not only is he in the same conversation, he has surpassed by quite a bit now that record that Mike Modano used to hold and the single season points record. I mean, he's clobbered it.
And that's where we're kind of like, Mike Modano's still better, because Robertson still has a long way to go to prove that he's truly better than Mike Modano. He's got lots of playoff series to go and many more seasons.
I would argue that to make Jason Robertson a complete legend for this team, he's got to go and win the cup. He's got to go win the cup. So even if it's not this season, I mean, he's still only 23 and he has such a long career ahead of him. And the guy is freaking fantastic. I mean, you can't say enough about Jason Robertson and what he's done for this team. Let's talk about another player that I really want to get into tonight. And he made his re-debut after being out for a month and a half. And that's Mr. Scott Wedgwood. I mean, I know that we talk about Jason Robertson and how good he was tonight, and we'll talk about Miro here in a second. But this game is not 5-1 if it's not for the play of Scott Wedgwood, especially at the beginning of the second period.
Yeah, I mean, he was spectacular. Honestly, there were lots of there weren't like a crazy amount of chances, but lots of shots. And when the chances did come, he stopped them. So it was a really good night from Wedgwood. He looked awesome.
What I really noticed about Wedgwood, and I like the word that Razor used, is that he was explosive. So there was one particular play. It was when Nashville was on the power play, and he wasn't quite 100% sure where it was. But as soon as he knew where it was, he was able to kick it out. And that did not allow Nashville to get to that rebound. And it, didn't allow Nashville to score a goal or even get a scoring chance off of that shot, even though it was a pretty good cycle at that point by Nashville. So that is something that I really enjoyed. And I looked back at this game and I thought, he's really missed a month and a half. He did not look like it at all. He looked fantastic.
That conditioning game in the AHL must have helped him a ton because he looked ready for this game.
And it couldn't have been at a better time because I mean we're 5 games away from the playoffs, and if something happens to Otter, or I don't know, I feel a lot more comfortable with Scott Wedgwood than Matt Murray. No offense to Matt Murray. I think he's going to be good in his own here in a couple seasons, but man, Wedgwood is such an important piece of this team, and that was one of the best trades that I think Jim Nill has ever made. He only traded a 4th-round pick to get this guy, and this guy is only $1 million on the cap right now. That's the other thing, is he's doing it for a bargain.
Yeah.
So, okay, lots of other players that we need to talk about. Obviously, we need to talk about. Let's do happy stuff still. Let's get into Miro. Miro getting passed, and I think now he has 6 assists in the last 3 games. So he's showing how well he is doing offensively, but again, he's still making the plays defensively. There was probably about 3 or 4 times I wrote on my notes tonight, good play Miro, good play Miro, good D play Miro. And it was just, he does it so consistently, and he's got to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL.
He has to be the best defenseman with his stick for sure. I mean, it's seriously, I mean, Razor talks about it all the time. It's like just another appendage for him. He uses it like his own arm. He just whacks it away. He does crazy stuff.
The other thing I really noticed about his play this year is with John Klingberg, officially gone. I think that's probably the best thing that's ever happened to Miro Heiskanen. He doesn't have to live in the shadow of John Klingberg anymore. And I mean, especially when you look at the power play points that he's put up this season, it's dramatically different compared to last season. I think last season he had 11, and this season he's up to 30 something, I think, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, he continues to be why the Dallas Stars are going to be a really good team going forward, not just this year, but for the next decade.
Yeah, he's been ridiculously good.
I also want to talk about Colin Miller tonight, who I thought had a really good game. He had a couple of turnovers, but because of the great back check by the forwards tonight, it was a great 2-way play with the defenseman getting in on the offense tonight, and then the forwards kind of helping out defensively tonight. Sagan, I need to shout out to Sagan.
He had such a good game for not getting on the score sheet, other than the very last goal, which at that point is kind of viewpoint. But he had a crazy good game. I was surprised he didn't score earlier.
I was too. And the best thing about what Sagan got to do is that he got that goal. He needed a goal, and
I know he hit 20 with it.
He did. And I know it's not exactly the season we were hoping from Tyler Sagan, but he has definitely been better this year compared to last year and even the year before. Yeah. So, I mean, Sagan has been excellent defensively.
And really, most of it has been since they got Domi, and they're starting to roll again. I mean, I'm really excited for Marchment to come back and watch that line just start rolling again. Domi finally looks like he's settling back down into that position as well, with finally getting Sagan back.
And back to Miller, I want to see him shoot the puck more like that. I mean,
dude, it was crazy. He had 3 shots on goal tonight, and he probably had another 3 or 4 that just missed completely, but his slap shot is kind of scary.
I don't know if you saw I can't even think of the word, the speedometer that the Bally Sports Southwest had in the bottom right corner, but his hardest shot tonight was 98 miles per hour. I mean, can you imagine being in front of a shot like that? Most people don't get 98 miles per hour on their slap shot. It's normally like in the mid 80s, maybe around 90, something like that. And then only the players that really, really have an amazing slap shot can get 95 and above. So I would love to see Miller shoot that more often because his slap shot is a insane weapon.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought a lot of that was because of who he played with tonight. I mean, Harley played amazing tonight, in my opinion. That was, for playing your first game of the NHL season, that was an outstanding game. He played really good defensively. He made really good, smart passes. He made some great stretch passes out of his zone. He didn't seem to have a problem getting out of his zone at all. And the only thing we didn't see from him really was his offense tonight, which is kind of the thing that people talk about a lot. But if he's getting those zone exits from his own end, that's what we need the most, honestly.
He had a couple of turnovers, mostly in the third period when it was kind of a moot point when the Stars were already up 5-0 or 5-1. But I thought he played it. I thought he played just fine tonight.
I thought he looked really good.
That's exactly what we needed. I mean, from him, we didn't need him to be, a dynamite player. We didn't need him to go out and score a goal for us, even though that would be nice for him to get on there because that is kind of his game. He does play the offensive side of the puck more, but he was perfectly fine, which is exactly what we needed. And at times he looked invisible, which if you're a defenseman, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if it's your first game in the NHL since last season. Yeah. And when I saw this morning that he was recalled from the Texas Stars, I'm like, he's obviously going to play tonight. I mean, they're not going to recall Thomas Harley if they're not going to play tonight. Oh, excuse me. So just fantastic by him tonight. I think there's a couple of areas in his game that I wish he would kind of get a little bit more solid, and I would really feel better about him. I already feel better about him than I do about Hanley or Lundqvist. But to really solidify the defense, I really think this guy could be the answer for the Dallas Stars for the remainder of the season, for the last 5 games of the season, and then going into the playoffs. I don't think he goes back down, James. I really don't.
It's really going to depend on if this is a one-off game where he just played really good, or if it's really just how much he's improved. And I think it is just how much he's improved just because of how solid he was all night long. But yeah, we'll see.
That's going to be a big thing going forward, is just to see how he does with more responsibility in the next games. And where I really want to see him is against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. That game is going to be absolutely huge. The Stars have now clinched a playoff spot, but I really want to see how he does against the top competition, because we're not going to see Nashville in the playoffs. We're not going to see, I don't know who we're playing, the Philadelphia Flyers in the playoffs. We're going to be seeing the Vegases, the Winnipegs, the Minnesotas, those teams. So I'm going to be really curious to see how he does against that particular game, because that's really the only game that is of real seriousness for the Dallas Stars at this point, I think, just because of the level of competition.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but also it's nice for us that we don't have to play any of those teams. I mean, the Vegas game is the only concerning game for the rest of the season, really. The rest are teams that are not going to make the playoffs. They're like not in the hunt at all.
All right, so let's get into some of the kind of the rough things tonight. I literally watched the game, stopped it, and came straight in here to my studio. So I don't know what the situation is with Robe Hintz. Robe Hintz played a fantastic game like he always does. He's got the Stars going in the first period and he was the only goal scorer for the Dallas Stars in the first period when I thought we should have had more. But there was a little twinge there at the end as Josh and Razor were kind of signing off and sending it to the post-game show. Roope Hintz did not play very much there in the third period. And I actually noticed this before Sagan scored his goal. And I said, why is Sagan out there with Robo and with Pavelski? And I had some real scariness kind of going through my head at that point. Like, I really hope that he's okay, because that would be extremely detrimental to the Dallas Stars going into the playoffs. So I don't know if you've seen anything, James. Did you know anything about him?
I honestly didn't even know that we didn't play him for the last couple of minutes, but hopefully that's not anything wrong. I know the Predators were hitting hard late in this game. I mean, that's the only thing that I could think.
And maybe, okay, Ardell over here, he's telling us Jankowski drilled him fine. Also, Brian Eden, thank you. He's not hurt. They took him out considering the score. Okay, that's fair. Confirms maintenance, no injury. Okay, thank you guys, because I honestly did not know. And that's true. If he's got some sort of like minor nagging thing, there's no point in putting him out there when it's 5-0 or even 5-1. So that's okay. That makes me feel a lot better. But still, the fact that they took him out means there's something there at least that's minor that he can still play on. So that needs to be something that we need to be concerned about going forward, is watching the health of Roope Hintz. Because, I mean, let's be honest, he's a great player and he's an amazing player. First line center, no doubt. He's having a career year as well. But he has had injury issues in the past couple of years. So we need to see if we can keep him going and make sure that he's healthy for the playoffs, especially.
Yeah.
Okay. I also wanted to get into some of the play calling tonight. I thought some of the play calling by the refs, some of the power plays that were called, especially the first couple on both sides, were kind of stupid. And I didn't feel like they were necessary, to be totally honest with you, James, because at that point, I thought it was a pretty good game. Dallas started off really well and they pressed really early. Probably should have had a couple of extra chances. But Nashville hung around and Juuse Saros kind of kept them around. And then I really felt like that the power plays kind of messed with the flow of the game, the chemistry of the game a little bit.
Well,
is that fair?
That's what power plays do. Penalties typically break up how the flow of the game goes. It's part of the game.
Well,
I didn't have a problem.
Stupid power plays. I thought they were stupid calls.
There were like 2 or 3 tripping calls and high sticking calls. I mean, you have to call those.
Speaking of power plays and penalty kills, poor Ty Dellandrea.
He got punched in the face, is bleeding, and they're like, no, it's not a penalty.
Oh, man.
What? Like, if it's not high sticking, it's like roughing, right? Like,
I don't know.
I don't understand how that's not a penalty.
I guess they just, I mean, he kind of did put himself in that situation a little bit. Let's be honest.
He went in to go check him against the boards, and the dude pushes back and hits him in the nose.
Yeah, it's like straight in the face.
It was a solid hit to the face too.
And then literally like 2 minutes later, it happens again, but it's actually high sticks. Yeah,
he had a rough night.
And then another player I did want to talk about, Sherwood for the Nashville Predators. That guy's got some snarl. He's got some snarl. I did like
finding those players, don't they?
Yeah, they always seem to find him. Like Tanner Jeannot got traded over to Tampa Bay for quite a haul. Holy crap, Cal Foot and like 5 draft picks. But I liked how he played. He was really in people's face and stuff like that. But I did really, really want Jamie Benn to punch him in the face, like really badly. I wanted him to.
Yeah, but I mean, when you just beat them on the scoreboard, it's good enough. Especially when you're ahead by 4 goals. Don't go fighting with 5 games left in the regular season, and you're going to the playoffs. They're not.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, here's the thing, James. You're thinking logically, and I'm thinking I just want to pound the freaking Peacats into the ground, and especially after Sherwood went after Dellandrea when it was obvious that he got high stick. The guy went like over his head. You couldn't miss it. And
Yeah,
then
he
he
got
was just
stuck
like,
under his
"Oh,"
chin and, and
and
raked
then
his face.
and then he went there and, like, cross-checked him in between the benches, like, in
That
between
was
plays. I'm like,
ridiculous,
"That's
dude.
stupid." And then he also took runs at, Pavelski, which that really pissed me off. And then he also took a run at Miro, which I'm less pissed off about because I know that Miro can handle it. But I mean, Pavelski is such an important piece to this team, as is Miro. Miro is used to taking hits like that just because he's a defenseman. But Pavelski was in the defensive zone in the corner, and Sherwood took a run at him. And I was just like, no, someone please tell this youngster or whoever the heck this guy is to cut it out. Here's a knuckle sandwich. Shut up. Get yourself on the bench. And even better, how about we punch you, you bleed, and we send you off to get repairs back in the locker room.
If
I
it
know
was
that's not logical,
earlier,
James, but that's what
if
I
it was
want.
earlier in the game, I wouldn't have minded it. But when you're winning by 4 goals late in the third, please
But isn't
don't.
that like the perfect time to do it, though?
No.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
don't get hurt in a nonsense game.
James, you're supposed to like patronize me. Come on now.
No. I will not entertain.
Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. Anyways, there's so many other things that we could talk about. The robo chant that broke out at 8.5 minutes remaining in the third period. Good for the American Airlines Center to acknowledge that, and such a humble play by Robo to kind of stand up and acknowledge the crowd. Right after that, after he was acknowledged on the jumbotron.
He's been ridiculous.
He's been ridiculous. I do want to talk about Johnston a little bit because, especially in the first period, I thought there were a couple of passes that were, I mean, for lack of a better term, I can't think of anything else right now because I'm so tired. It's late, but they just weren't very good. They were, and it wasn't like a pass in the offensive zone. One pass was in the defensive zone. It led to a turnover. And then there was another one that was in the neutral zone that wasn't as good. Did you notice those at all, or is it just me?
I didn't notice them. I think I noticed one turnover that he had, but I mean, he just has so many other plays that he does well defensively in his own zone too. It's just like, that's not something that you worry about.
And that's what I was going to jump on too, is the fact that he actually spent time on the penalty kill tonight as well. And he got robbed like 2 or 3 times, at least twice, by Saros. So, I mean, I know it's not exactly the right thing to think this way, but I mean, if you are going to make turnovers like that and they're going to lead to goals, the least you can do is go the other way and score.
Yeah, he had 17 minutes on tonight. So 17 minutes for him, who's supposed to be third line. That's a lot of time on ice.
This team is looking really good, James. I'm super excited. The last 3 games, I've been super excited. I wasn't upset about the Colorado game for obvious reasons. But, and again, I know it's Arizona and I know it's Nashville, but the way that they played both of those games, when they finally got going, was dominant. And then when they needed a big save from Wedgwood or from Otter, they were both there to stop it. And it was timely saves, which is something that we hadn't seen from Ottinger through mostly February. We saw it through March a little bit, but now we're starting to see those timely saves at the right time. And then when they finally get it going, they're taking it. So, I mean, they're taking advantage of their opportunities. And it seems like this team is really starting to ramp up at the right time, 5 games before the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't give any of, I mean, we played the Blackhawks and we played the Coyotes, Avalanche, and now the Predators. I mean, 3 of those games, I mean, the other team didn't really have a chance for most of the game. In one of the game, we played a game that the night before, 24 hours before. So yeah, and honestly, the one game that we lost against the Avs, we were in for most of the game. In bar a very weak push into a goaltender, that game I think would have swung the other way. So I'm really excited to get into the postseason.
All right, let's end it with biggest winner and biggest loser tonight, James. Who you got? There's a lot to choose from.
Biggest winner, Jason Robertson, obviously. 4-point night again. 10 points in 4 nights, 3 games. And to both break Madonna's record of a single season point record and make it to 100 points and past. The dude's crazy.
Yeah, he's at 101, right?
Yeah, he's at 101 now.
First Dallas Star in history to be triple digits in the scoring department. That's absolutely insane. And he's not even going to get close to winning the what's it called? Isn't there like a points trophy? I don't know. I can't think of it right now. Whatever. Who's your biggest loser tonight, James?
Nils Lundqvist.
Yeah, that was going to be mine.
Thomas Harley looked really good, man. I don't know that he's going to get another chance unless someone gets hurt.
And I mean, maybe when that time comes, he'll be relied upon. But right now, I mean, even Hanley is above him right now. So he's number 8 on the depth chart for the Dallas Stars right now. So
also the Minnesota Wild. Because they lost in overtime. We get first in the division again. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm going to do my biggest loser first. My biggest loser I was going to give to Nils Lundqvist just because they had to go outside of the team to find a replacement for him. And, I mean, Harley looked good. I don't see any reason why he won't play Thursday or Saturday even. I think he's going to have a short leash. And if he plays badly or costs the game for the Stars on Thursday or Saturday, then I would expect to see Hanley in there again for maybe a game before Harley gets back in. But yeah, that's unfortunate for Nils Lundqvist. He just hasn't played. He's been good offensively. He's been fine. But it's just the defensive side of the game, and for whatever reason, the coaching staff just doesn't trust him. So, and that's unfortunate for him. But for my biggest winner, since you gave it to Jason Robertson, honorable mention to Jason Robertson because he deserves an honorable mention. I'm going to give mine to Scott Wedgwood. If it wasn't for Scott Wedgwood in the second period when it was kind of bleh, like the Stars weren't necessarily playing bad, but they just weren't getting any ozone time. They didn't get a shot until like the 9-minute mark of the second period. Then this game is not 5-1 at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
But why the heck can Dallas Stars goaltenders not get shutouts? It seems like every single time it gets so close, and I started thinking about it, and he's like, "Oh no, he lets one in."
And they've had a couple of shutouts this year too, right?
They've had a couple, but
yeah, Otter has like 4 shutouts.
So, like, it feels like they could have so much more, especially like when Ottinger was first starting to take over as the starting goaltender. There were so many games when it was like 2-0 or like 3-0 or something like that, and it's like
and the
end of the
like
game,
the last minute of the game.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like he should have like so many more shutouts, Ottinger especially, but it is what it is.
And he still has 4 this season.
Yes, yeah, he still has 4 this season. That's crazy. And you know what, Ardell? I'll give Ardell a shout out since he's such a loyal listener of the show. We love you, Ardell.
First line.
And the whole first line. Pavelski had a great game. Agreed.
They all score again, like in the Coyotes game. That's for the only the 3rd time all season.
Yep, and we need to see them do that against Vegas. I know we have a game Thursday against Philadelphia, but I really don't care about that game. I'm looking at the Vegas game. So we'll see how they do against that team when the time comes. Anything else, James?
The Wild suck. So do the Avs. We're going for first in the division.
Dallas is first in the division right now. Now, Colorado does have 2 games in hand on us.
No, they suck. They're bad.
So we'll have to be rooting for the opponents of the Avalanche right now. If we can keep pace right now with Minnesota, we will be first or second in the division, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But guys, I really do appreciate y'all staying up with me. There's 18 people that are up with us at 12:11 on a Tuesday morning. And
in a game that ended like 2 or 3 hours ago.
Right. So again, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I really feel the love right now that you guys are willing to just listen to us live right now. And even though, especially me, even though you've been waiting for me for like 2 hours. I really appreciate it. Just a busy night tonight. Basically, for my job, my band's version of a STAR test is coming up on Thursday, and that's like a standardized test for band. It's a big deal. So we had our last Monday night rehearsal before that happens on Thursday. So we're really looking forward to that. Hope my kids do well. But go and check out sarcasticremarks.com. Thank you, DraftKings Sportsbook, for being our sponsor. Use that promo code THPN the next time you are there. Along with James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. Since Chris is not here, James will have to do it for him. James, take us out.
GG, boys.
Let's go!